over Sam Adekubi's face right there. It's not a disaster when it comes to the overall big picture for the tie, but such a disappointing moment in a first half where the Whitecaps were in absolute control, to be playing loose and really making a defensive error that led to a 95th minute winner by a 35-year-old player in Ariel Rodriguez. Final score in the first leg from San Juan de Tibas. It is Saprissa 2, Whitecaps 1. Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson with you. What do you make of what we saw there right at the death? Saprissa taking the advantage to Vancouver with them ahead of the second leg.
Well, a few things stick out to me, Wheels. One thing is momentum. Saprissa's second half, it seemed like they wanted it more. They were fighting, they were scrapping, they were clawing, trying to get something done. But then when you also look at it, towards the end of the game, the end of the half, that's when mistakes are made, right? And you can see there, we're going to take a look at the goal, but when you shut down and you turn off for a second, that's all that it takes when you're in your defensive end, 30 yards from goal. And Saprissa capitalized on that moment.
It's not as if the Whitecaps didn't have chances to score more than just the one away goal that they take back with them, which is something. It's more than a consolation prize. It's something that will matter heading home for the second leg. It's just to lose the way that they did. The first goal that Saprissa scores, okay, it's a cracker. Defensive errors, maybe. But do you chalk that down to first game of the season, just lacking the focus to see a game out in the latter stages? We're going to show it in a moment, but it's just complete miscommunication. They just completely got it wrong in a moment that simply matters too much to make a mistake like that at a time like that.
Yeah, you're so right, Wheels. First game of the season, obviously you're not going to be your sharpest and your best in February, and you don't want to peak now. But I think that mental fortitude needs to be there to not switch off. And to know that if you're even or you're ahead in this match of Vancouver Whitecaps, you're feeling pretty good going back to Vancouver. But to get that away goal, to have that last goal be scored on you, and the 2-1 victory for Saprissa, that is a gut punch. That is to put you in your place, and I think that's going to be the one that hurts him for a week's time.
Crab was great. Like, honestly, those are the special environments, the special nights for those fans down in Saprissa in the Concacaf Champions Cup to beat a big club like the Vancouver Whitecaps. A testament to all involved there. But Whitecaps are going to be kicking themselves. Let's go to our Volkswagen moment of the match, and it was in the 95th minute. Vancouver seeing this out, the ball goes out for a throw-in. But look, like this can't happen between Adekubi and Jaden Nelson. Look, number 7 is wide open. Jaden Nelson is turning around looking at him. Nelson needs to slide down, doesn't he? Adekubi's going to go to the man on the flank, but Nelson is marking no one. The newcomer to Vancouver Whitecaps has to be in a better position to defend that.
Absolutely, Wheels. And then this is what I talk about team chemistry.
Where's he defending?
Because, look, you could say Priso, you could say White, you could say Veselinovic. There's so many players. Blackman. You could say at this point, once the ball goes out, needs to be calling players back. Of course, Jaden Nelson fell asleep. Of course, Sam Adekubi could have been in a better spot. But this is when you rely on your teammates to say, hey, drop back, let's protect what we have. And even our head should be the mentality, but to give up such a sloppy goal like that and not being in the right position has got to sting.
Look, I think that people recognize that Jaden Nelson has talent, but it's moments like that, you can't switch off. You're marking space in a moment where you simply need to pick up a player. You know, he doesn't go to Rosenborg and then gets shut out and goes on loan. Like, these are the attributes that you need to bring to the table. Situational awareness is huge right atop that list. It's one thing to be a talented player, Jordan, but it's moments like this that define whether a night is a success or not. And that's a moment where he let himself down and he let his team down.
I look at the bigger picture with that too, Wheels, is like, okay, players come on, not always are they their best. But if you're a sub, Priso came on, Jaden Nelson came on at the same time, and the chemistry and the vibe for the Vancouver Whitecaps in the second half wasn't the same as the first. But that is also the subs to try to claw and get something going. And it was just a little bit dormant, a little bit, I don't know, maybe fatigue is a word as well. They just weren't in the match the same way you need to be when you're a sub. You have to be adding energy. And I feel like that's also what led to the detriment today for Vancouver.
It's one thing if it's not clicking from an attacking perspective. First game with a new team, I get it. Yeah. Just defensive duty in 95th minute, you have to be able to see a moment out like that. Your Gatorade man of the match, it goes to Ryan Gauld. When he was on the field, outstanding, no one better. First game of the season, gets a goal as well. Wins the ball here here, plays it out, and finishes the run, and he gets a well-deserved goal.
Yeah, for sure. He was the best player on the pitch. I love White's run here because it does free up Ryan Gauld right there, that finish. But again, the right foot, you see the keeper, just fingertips, but he just hits it perfectly past the goalkeeper. It's a great finish.
The Batista celebration, dig that. Look, 17 and 16 last year. The only knock, or the only question when it comes to the Whitecaps is there a tendency to rely on him a little bit too much? You know, Brian White brings the goals. I thought that Vite came on and made a difference. But is there enough in terms of the supporting cast? Because oftentimes you rely on Gauld to do a whole lot of heavy lifting.
No, I definitely am picking up what you're laying down. But for me, it's like, obviously he's the best player and he has that sweet foot to find passes. Yeah, there are players that need to contribute more. I don't say let's throw the baby out with the bathwater. This is still the first game. So obviously there are players that could grow into their performance. But again, the Nelson's coming on so Vite had a strong performance coming off the bench. But it's really about the collective and the unit being their best self.
He's a winner. He put them in position to win the game. Obviously, there's some management going on with Vancouver playing their first game of the season Sunday against Portland Timbers. If he's on the field, sees out 90 minutes, they probably come away with at least a draw, still come away with the away goal. Let's show you the other Saprissa goal. It is well hit by a 37-year-old, 35-year-old scorer tonight. It sounds like I'm ageist. I'm older than both these guys. But it's Torres, cuts inside. I'm not sure about the defense there. And the unwillingness to get your body behind the ball. I kind of don't like the little whoop, jump around. Why even bother getting off your feet in the moment? That's not taking away from anything. This is a quality finish. Takaoka just couldn't get there. It's hit sweet as a peach, but the defending left much to be desired.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the defending there. I think obviously Berhalter, you mentioned it about how he dove in. And for me, Wheels, there's a difference between shooting range and when you're defending midfield. In midfield, you can just jump in like that because you have 50 yards to recover. But when a player like Torres is 25 yards out coming in, you have to make sure that you stand your ground and you jockey. Another thing that needs to be said, Blackman kind of does that little duck. And I don't know, I was taught, you're maybe taking that in the chest.
Make yourself big.
If you go like this sideways, that's the worst for a keeper with a deflection. But I'm just wondering if he stood tall and maybe, of course, it's going to sting in the morning. But if you could take that in the head, the fact that he ducks, then it ends up being a perfect shot side netting. It's one of those you got to look and review.
Can we show that? Can we show the clip again? Is that okay? Because I think for me, Berhalter comes over. I don't even know if he has to come over in that moment. That's where the cardinal sin is broken. You need to just keep the game in front of you. The ball is played out wide. There's two players.
He does the right thing here.
Berhalter comes over.
He does.
Yes, but then why did he jump in a moment like that?
He doesn't need to.
All he
just
needs to do is keep. Because even if it's not a shot, he's opening up a passing lane.
Yeah.
Or the potential to cross to the far post. All they were doing all game was trying to feed Kendall Waston in the middle. There's no need to jump in like that.
You see that duck right there?
Yes, exactly. The duck right there as well. But that's a second error. That's a second error.
And it's tough, right? The ball's coming at you, and you don't want to give a deflection. But is there a world where maybe Blackman, he's big. He might be taking that straight on the chest. But it's just like the duck, the fact that it goes into the side netting, it's one of those you probably want back.
Like, these are individual errors. Like, under Jesper Sorensen, this is our first look, the first game. The team, I think, plays a lot more safe. They're a little bit more compact. Maybe they're not gallivanting as wide from deep-lying areas in terms of the wide play. But if you're going to look at those moments and some of the moments where they gave away chances in attack as well, I feel like it was individual decision-making that cost them on this night.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, too, like, one of the things in football, you always talk about the physical fortitude. You got to run for 90 minutes and stay in it. But it's really up here, Wheels. When you think about, even you highlighted the first half, certain passes in the midfield, right, where you're rushing or you're forcing or you're playing them too long. Like, all these little moments, they add up. And I think the biggest thing for me with Saprissa and Vancouver Whitecaps in this game is the second half momentum shifted. So when you're always trying to play catch-up, then little mistakes like that do happen. So I think Saprissa capitalized on the opportunities.
Yeah, Vancouver had a glorious chance to finish. It came up from a corner kick in the second half. Well taken by Berhalter. And Laborda on the far post found himself wide open. The goalkeeper went for a walk. That needs to be in the back of the net. That corner's wide open.
If it's on target, Wheels, it's a goal. He's the hero, right? So, like, that position is perfect as a defender, just to head that back across and put it in the goal.
Vite, I mean, he made such a difference when coming on. in terms of the build-up play. The decision making, the final ball in the final third was something that betrayed Vancouver Whitecaps for the majority of the night. But I thought that Vitae really added some bite when he came onto the field.
Yeah, he was a positive injection for sure to come into the match. Was it perfect from anyone? No football game is. No. But that's what we want to see from subs. Able to express himself, get on the ball, create something. He's getting fouled a lot as well. That's also a good sign from an attacking player. But yeah, you just need more of a full effort from Vancouver Whitecaps, especially players that are coming into the match. You got to contribute from the time you step onto the pitch.
Your All-State saving match came in the 84th minute. It was kind of a shot, kind of a pass, but I think it was going to go on target in the end. Some really nice ball movement by the Vancouver Whitecaps to create. I thought there was a lot of patience here. That's a really good ball. Vitae, a little bit of a meg, and Alvarado came out to deny.
Yeah, we watched it together. I don't know if you agree with me, Wheels. Vitae does well, just his movement before this, but I think touch around the keeper. Like, even if he chips by him, I think a defender's clearing off the line. Like, I feel like that's one of those situations where you gamble. Just that little touch, a keeper clips you, maybe it's a pen. But again, we're crying over spilt milk
I think you'll be disappointed they come away 2-1. You know, 1-1, you feel a little bit more comfortable.
Definitely.
You know, like Saprissa, well, I doubt that Kendall Wasson will be playing number 9. You just put him at the back to clear the ball because
6 in the back.
Now they have the one goal. Basically, I think that changes. We'll talk about what things might look like in the second leg, as well as weigh in on the performance that was by Ali Ahmed on this night. Disappointment in the end. 90 plus 5 minute dagger by Rodriguez of Saprissa. Final score in the first leg, 2-1. The return leg next week in Vancouver at BC Place. As you watch the Concacaf Champions Cup right here on One Soccer.
Are you having any fun? What you getting out of living? Who cares for what you've got if you're not having any fun? Are you having any laughs? Are you getting any loving? If other people do, why can't you have a little fun? And have a little fun.
Canadian soccer fans, we're different. We cheer on the Reds while cheering out our motherlands and each other's lands. Soccer is in our hearts. Our roots are on display. Not to divide, but to unite. Because to us, soccer's more than just a game. It's who we are. From coast to coast to coast, it connects us all. Cheers to us. Cheers to the game.
This isn't your first time flying to show support for your team, but it is the first time you use the wrong kind of paint.
It says here you could try mayonnaise.
WestJet, where your story takes off.
For generations, we've put more goodness in so you get a whole lot more out of every single delicious egg. A lot goes into a little at Burnbrae Farms.
Options for Alidu. She'll shoot, and what a hit that is! Bullying her way off the ball. Incredible effort from Olivia Smith. Groza has a step into the penalty area for Canada. Groza towards goal, and it's in. Decent ball played back, redirected on goal, and D'Angelo makes a terrific save.
Do we really have any choice at all?
Everyone has a choice, and every choice has a consequence.
Which do you choose?
Life's full of tough choices, isn't it?
How do you choose?
Next Thursday night, the return leg, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific. From BC Place, Vancouver Whitecaps with work to do, down 2-1 on aggregate. Saprissa, do they park the bus?
Oh, you know it.
That's probably
6-3-1 Wheels.
We'll get into it in a moment, but next week, I just think it's going to be such a different game in terms of the way it may play out. Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson with you. Saprissa win 90+5. Rodriguez gets the goal to win it down in Costa Rica. Let's talk Ali Ahmed, because I think there's a lot of curious eyeballs on the player. Whether you're a fan of the Canadian men's national team, whether you're someone that's looking for Ahmed to eventually move on and play somewhere else. This is a big season upcoming for him as he's right in his prime at the age of 24. Ahmed played much further attack. He was a winger tonight. What did you see from Ahmed, and did you like his performance, Jordan?
I'll start with this. I think a winger is judged by your product, crosses, shots on goal. This is obviously the best action of the night, the fact that he gives the assist to Ryan Gauld. Of course, it's a pass that's bouncing Wheels, but he was touching the touchline and trying to get forward. This one changes, right? If he could shoot it early. I know he tries to get the for sure goal and cut it back on his left foot, kind of overruns it. But to sum up his performance, you know that you could see more. Like, it wasn't great from him today. Moments like this happen far too often, right? Shots and crosses straight at a Saprissa defender. And you know that he's shifty, and you know that you can get the best out of players 1v1. But the productivity going forward needs to be better. I'm not going to just judge him off of this one performance. I know he has more in him, but he has to show that from the start.
He was losing some of those battles on the outside. I did like how he was trying to do that, get him behind the back line. It was just the ball would be maybe a step far away, or the decision just wouldn't be quite spot on. You know how I feel about the player? Like, arms and legs for days. He's like,
gangly.
Like, I would hate to try to defend that player.
You can't.
But when it doesn't come off, sometimes it doesn't look quite right. And it just felt like tonight was a night where he was fighting it just a little bit.
I said it when I first started, when you asked me, it's about the productivity. That's how wingers are judged. That's how attacking players are judged. Defenders are judged very differently. You have to be almost perfect, right? And one time you give striker a chance, they score. But wingers, it's about those passes. That pass into Gauld, he needs to have like 2, 3, 4 more of those for him to have a great performance.
And that's the thing. If he's going to play higher up the field in that role, he's going to be counted on to be productive.
Exactly.
Didn't have an assist all of last season. Good news is he had one tonight. I thought it was a good ball. Difficult ball for Gauld to deal with, but it was a right ball to play in that moment.
Right intention. They need more of that. Near post run by White, Gauld going back post, Ahmed running deep. That could be the recipe for success.
Defining season, we'll see as a player whether he grows into that role, whether he's better as a wing-back, not a fullback, but an outside right midfielder. Like, what is he exactly?
He's so dangerous as a winger, but we highlighted at halftime, just those runs in behind. I think he needs to just switch up his game a little bit at times, right? Come to the ball, feet. It's easy when a defender, we say it all the time, we could play if everyone always checks the ball. When it gets dangerous for Wheeler and Wilson is when you clip that ball in behind and you have that gangly boy Ahmed running in.
I still like him. I still like him on the inside as well.
Yeah.
So he's a little bit of a hybrid.
A mixed bag, though.
Yeah, he can be, but that's up to Sorensen to play him in the right way to get the most out of that player. All right, so next week, the return leg, it's going to have a different feel to it. Thought the crowd was great down in Costa Rica tonight. Played on grass. The game's going to speed up on turf. And this Saprissa side has a lot of experience, a lot of mileage or kilometers on those legs. So what kind of game do you see playing out next week at BC Place?
Tempo, 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 tempo. It has to be for Vancouver Whitecaps. I know Jesper Sorensen has come in, and you can see today they're a bit methodical, specifically the left side in the first half, just making touches, being patient. You cannot play slow next week because that favors Saprissa. It's like if you're going to keep the ball, switching the ball quickly is going to be your bread and butter. But then service into the box. We just highlighted Ali Ahmed getting into positions. That's not to harp on the player, but it's service and numbers into the box. They need more opportunities to actually get a shot on goal. That's the only way they're getting out of this tie.
Saprissa struggled to keep the ball tonight. At times, they had a crazy high line.
Yeah.
They can't do it. I think they'll just play safe next week.
6-3-1.
Maybe. With Waston up top, I still can't believe. I watched a game in the Concacaf Champions Cup where Kendall Waston played striker.
About Wheels.
Oh my God! He had the touch of a baby elephant. But he was a pain all night. Bigger pain for Saprissa is the fact that, well, for the Whitecaps, I should say, was Saprissa scored late, 90+5 to go on and win it 2-1. We'll be back next week On behalf of Jordan Wilson and our entire team here at One Soccer, I am Gareth Wheeler. Enjoy the rest of your night, Canada, and go Canada, go!
This isn't your first time flying to show support for your team, but it is the first time you use the wrong kind of